Welcome, my name is Greg Doepke and I am the philanthropist in residence at Auburn University's Cary Center, as well as the founder of Aspire to Give, a firm dedicated to unleashing human generosity. On behalf of the Women's Philanthropy Board, I am pleased to share with you this 10-minute video on diversifying your income sources. This video is about you and your family, for it is your income that pays for the food on your table, the roof over your heads, and pays your other bills. By viewing this video, you will gain some additional insights and maybe some creative ideas that will help you be more informed and aware. So let's begin and take a closer look at your family's income. We'll be talking about diversifying your income sources. And more specifically, we'll be talking about format and why diversify, you and your family, common income sources, changing landscape, future income sources, and do a little caring and sharing and learning. Let's look at format and why diversify an income. First, the format for this session is a 10-minute sharing, and it's all about you and your family. The future is hazy, and we have income questions on where it's going to come from. Do we have job security? And then it'll present some topics and ideas for discussion and for your own personal thought. In a previous session, I talked about and shared with you the 4 strategies to manage risk, which are accept, avoid risk, transfer risk, and applicable to this session on income, reducing risk. And one way of reducing risk is to diversify. We commonly think of diversification in investments, and currently with COVID, social distancing. But it also applies to income. Quick story about why you want to diversify your income. Back in the early 2000s, there was a company out of Houston called Enron that was an energy-based company. And it went bankrupt. And there were stories in the paper and in the press about employees that had their salary coming from Enron. They had their 401k in a single stock in Enron stock, and their pension was in Enron. So when the company went bankrupt, they lost all 3. That's why you want to diversify your income. Let's talk about you and your family. When we talk about you and your family's income, think about it in a little broader way, that it's about your children and your grandchildren too. It's about their future. So first off, think about yourself and your family and your situation. Common in the working with donors, it becomes a matter of thinking with your head and your heart. And your heart always leads, but it needs to be both of those, your heart and thinking head, in coming to decisions. Work-life balance is a critical consideration. And it's important to build off your strengths, your skills, and your experiences. You know, life is short, so we need to find our sweet spot. I use this little circle for donors in donor discovery. And it's an overlapping of passions, causes, our strengths, our gifts for giving, and joy and meaning. But it's also very applicable to income and the work you do that you earn a living at. So life is short. Find your sweet spot, your strengths, passions, fun, and meaning in your work. Let's talk about common income sources. And I invite you to count how many of the income sources you have or will have. There is investments, dividends and interest from investments, certificates of deposit, CDs, Social Security, pension. Disability. You may be a contractor, which is a 1099 employee. You may have rental property. You may be an employee of a university or a big company or a small company and get W-2 income. You may get income from a trust, or have a side job, Uber or Airbnb, or maybe a divorce settlement or a liability settlement. You may have retirement savings and annuities, 401ks, 403bs, and IRAs. So looking at all these sources of income, and there may be more, how many family income sources do you have? And then the question, should you diversify? Let's look at the changing landscape. There are 4 trends in the changing landscape, and there may be more. But let me list 4 of them. The whole concept of social distancing. Employment insecurity. There are tremendous job layoffs, and we may question our own job security. Increased use of technology, whether it be video conferencing or virtual online learning. And then the economic concept of creative destruction. Creative destruction is an economic theory that is based on innovation and constant changes of businesses. Businesses come into creation and then they go bankrupt over time. An example has been, for example, the way Apple came with the iPhone and all their products. And then most recently, the destruction of Neiman Marcus went bankrupt. J. Crew went bankrupt. Gold's Gym went bankrupt. So this is an ongoing process in the economy, but it's being accelerated because of the COVID environment. So those are the 4 trends. Let's look at future income sources. But let's start with now. How do I survive and thrive now and in the future? In a very broad sense, income minus outflows equals your spendable income. And so it may be very worthwhile to take a look at your own spendable income and say, what do I need to spend on? What do I want to spend on? Because there's a big difference. With all the competition for jobs now because of the high unemployment rate, let's look at 5 income possibilities that are emerging or out there that we may not be aware of. First is creative Facebook and eBay sales. Example, when I retired from my professional practice in Virginia, I had an apartment in Virginia. And I had it full of furnishings and knickknacks. And when I ended my lease on my apartment, I had all this stuff in the apartment that I wanted to get rid of. I did not need it down here in Alabama. So there was this woman who had a business selling stuff in apartments and larger houses for people that were downsizing and retiring. And basically she would take all my stuff out of my apartment and get rid of it for me, and then basically sell it and then split the proceeds. And anything she could not sell, she either threw away or, if she could, gave it to charity. And she made a point of being philanthropic and giving to specific charities that would help them. So it was a win-win for everybody. Another business may be scripting for voice commands. This is probably a very emerging field. An example, Amazon has an Alexa skill set. And with the aging demographics and more voice commands, there's a need for artificial intelligence and voice commands for getting things done and for finding out information. You may have specific expertise. Well, one way of generating some income is by freelancing your expertise virtually. And there are websites, Freelancer, Fiverr, Upwork, and many others that allow you to freelance your expertise. You may have a special gift in terms of your knowledge. You may have a specialty. Well, you could go online and basically offer courses for teaching or for those that are interested in specific topics. And their websites, be a YouTuber, Teachable, Udemy. I know of someone who is supporting a family of 6 by doing YouTuber type online specialty. Lastly, you can start a new business. As difficult as it may be, there are opportunities in this environment. We can make lemonade out of a lemon of a time by meeting a need and a niche in the evolving economy. So there are 5 income possibilities. So together, let's care, share, and learn with others. We have to count on each other, and we have others that have expertise we may not have. So assuming the considerations of your sweet spot, your work-life balance, your desire for time flexibility and financial income security, you may want to have a conversation with yourself and with your significant others and others as well. Thoughts on what you should do now. Thoughts on investing in you. And thoughts on managing your income risk. Well, this concludes this session. And thank you for viewing this short video on behalf of the Women's Philanthropy Board. We hope you found it helpful. If you would like to learn more about the Women's Philanthropy Board, including upcoming educational programs, special events, and membership opportunities, or if you'd like to learn more about the Cary Center's programs or have suggestions for future topics, please reach out and contact the office or like us on Facebook. If you would like to learn more about Aspire to Give, please visit our website, drop me an email, or like us on Facebook. So stay tuned for upcoming events and videos that will help you become a better giver of self to family, to others, and to those causes that are important and meaningful to you. Meanwhile, let us all go out and do some good.